This is Sawyer Robertson, and you're listening to the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Welcome into the Bearcast on SicEm365.com. I'm here with Colt Barber, and today we're doing our Big 12 picks. Colt and I are both going to give our 3 best bets of the week for the Big 12 slate. Colt, I'm going to let you go first. It's an intriguing week. Where are you starting with your first bet of the weekend?
Yeah, so when I'm picking these, and I don't bet a ton other than just against myself. So I'm picking games. I'm just like I'm going to Shreveport or Vegas to do these things. But I like picking teams that are still. Houston's a team that feels like they have a lot to prove, so they want to come out and make a statement regardless of who the opponent is. Whereas, let's say so and so's playing Florida A&M, and they're expecting to blow them out. They might struggle a little bit. I expect a Houston team to come out against an SFA with a point to prove. Year 2 under Willie Fritz, they're favored by 22.5. I think this is a game that Houston defensively, kind of like Baylor used to do against SFA, just come out and pitch a shutout, and they might score 24 points. It might be 27-3 type game. I don't know how much I trust Houston's defense after what they went through and losing their coordinators, but that's a Willie Fritz team that I expect to play very hard with a point to prove, regardless of the opponent. I like that 22.5 for them to cover against SFA, primarily because of their defense going and shutting down an outman offense. And I think that sets up really well from them. And we know that game's in Houston, and not that they're going to have this great home field advantage, but that one really sticks out. 22.5, I mean, they don't have to score a lot of points to get to 22.5 points if they're shutting them out. 3 touchdowns, maybe a special teams big play or something like that. So I'm going with Houston covering the 22.5 against SFA.
It's a lot of points for what Houston was putting up last year because that offense was terrible. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good bet though, because I do think they're trying to change the culture there and trying to really show some things. So if, Connor Wigman can get them going, then maybe they can put up some points in that one. My first bet is going to be actually in a game tonight at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Nebraska takes on Cincinnati. Nebraska is a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under is 51.5. I think this is going to be a really intriguing game. I think that both of these teams are going to be pretty good on the defensive side. And I think that's where this game is kind of going to start off, as looking probably pretty ugly for both of the offenses. And because of that, I think it's going to drive down the scoring enough to hit the under. Currently it's at 51.5. I'm going to take the under 51.5 in that game. Again, I think it's 2 pretty good defensive teams. I don't think you're going to see a blowout here. I think that something along the lines of, in a game in the 20s makes a lot of sense. In the low 20s, I think makes a ton of sense for this one. So yeah, again, in Nebraska versus Cincy, I'm taking the under 51.5.
Yeah, good pick. I think Dana Holgorsen does not want that game to go under after all of the press that he's gotten about being Dylan Raiola's quarterback coach now. But, I like it. But I think Matt Rule's going to ugly that game up. I think he could just want to say, hey, we're just going to run the football all over Cincinnati and try to do that, shorten that game. So I like the under there too.
Real quick, Sawyer Robertson has something to remind you about.
Want the latest information about your favorite team? Try out SicEm365 premium content the next 3 months for just $5 by clicking the link below.
And now back to the Bearcast.
I'm looking for my next one, Georgia Tech at Colorado. That's on Friday night, actually, right at the same time that Baylor's playing Auburn. That's a game that's currently at 51.5 over and under. And I see this game as Colorado, one way or the other. I feel like a team's going to be chasing a little bit just because of a lot of changes there. Georgia Tech, obviously losing Eric Singleton's big for them. Baylor's going to get to see him on Friday night as well, but Haynes King's still there. So I think they're going to put up some points. They're going to run it pretty well on Colorado, I imagine. So 51.5 points. If Colorado's chasing, if they could get out to a lead and Georgia Tech has to come back, that's going to push this game up. Like you could get to 28-27 type score and you're over. And so, I think both of those offenses are capable. Caden Salter's a new starting quarterback. He's a pretty good playmaker. He's not Shore Sanders, but he's a pretty good playmaker within that scheme. I like that. 51.5 doesn't seem like a lot unless, the altitude gets to Georgia Tech. But I think that's a pretty proven group of Georgia Tech that's going to run that score up just a little bit to help that over.
Yeah, I can definitely see the over there. I think Georgia Tech's going to be pretty good this year. And I
Yeah.
think we know with Colorado, they should be able to score some, even with the quarterback
They lost
changes
a
and
lot,
losing
though.
Travis Hunter. They
Yeah.
did, but I do think they should be able to move the ball some. And I think they'll move it enough to where that can actually hit the over. And I think Georgia Tech's going to win that game. So who knows
Big
how many
12 needs
points
it,
they
though.
may
Be
put up.
big for the Big 12 to win it.
It would.
That's, I mean, just sneaky. We were just talking about this, but sneaky weekend for the Big 12 to make a statement. That could be a big game.
Absolutely is. Okay, my next game is on Saturday night, late night game. It's Hawaii at Arizona. So Arizona is a 17.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 52.5. Hawaii just beat Stanford over the weekend.
Not Stanford, Stanford.
Yeah,
Stanford, just to be clear.
Right. And I'm just looking at this and going, man, this is a lot of confidence in Arizona. And this is their first game of the year. Hawaii's already played a game. Hawaii's kind of, maybe a little better than people think. And now we're just going to expect Arizona to just blow them out. I mean, 17.5 points, that's a lot. That's a lot of points for Arizona, who was so bad last year to win by. I'm going to take Hawaii plus 17.5. They might lose by 17, but it doesn't matter because that would cover it for me. I'm going to take Hawaii plus 17.5. I don't have enough faith in Arizona to think they're blowing anybody out who is even remotely good.
Yeah. And I don't know how good Stanford is and how much of an impact, traveling to Hawaii had on them, but Hawaii coming back in, I worry about that a little bit. Just the travel, like that's always been the deal with Hawaii. It's like this travel is just, I mean, it's a big deal going back and forth. So like, I don't know, man. Like that one makes me kind of nervous. I would almost be betting the other way of like maybe Arizona just sneaks it out a little bit more than that. And maybe it's like I don't know, 30 to 15 type game. Like I could see that happening, 30 to 14 and them covering. But I like it though. I mean, I think Arizona had their struggles last year, and obviously we know the Big 12 pretty well.
I'd still be good at 30 to 14 though. Still be good. That's
you have Hawaii. I'm sorry, you have Hawaii covered. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I'm with you then because I think Hawaii has a decent chance of covering this game, but I do worry about them traveling to Arizona. There's a big difference for them. So good pick though. I mean, we know Arizona is not great. Baylor play them later in the season. So my last one that I'm looking at is Utah traveling to UCLA. Utah's a 5.5-point favorite, which I don't want to say surprises me because UCLA wasn't good. The over and under 50.5. I went back and looked at UCLA just really quick from last year. They won 3 games, which was kind of weird in the middle of their schedule where they railed off wins at Rutgers, at Nebraska, and Iowa, which is just, I mean, they lost to LSU, who was 16, Oregon, who was 8, Penn State, who was 7. Then they lost to USC and Washington. So like they had a tough schedule. Yeah. But in those games, they broke 20. Outside of those 3 wins that they had, they broke 21 time. And so like I'm looking at this over and under now, 50.5. Like I don't know how good Utah's offense is going to be this year. So a lot of changes, but I expect them to play good defense. I think that 50.5 over and under is a little high. I could see this game being like 20 to 10. Or a 20 to 17 type game. Just the way Utah wants to play, they're going to want to run the football a lot. Unless they're just projecting one of these defenses to not be that good, Utah's a 5.5-point favorite, but I don't see that getting, you're talking about a 25, 27 to 23 type game. I don't know if those teams both can crank out that many points.
No, and I mean, even like 30 to 17, you're fine. Like if Utah does get away in this game, it still might not cover. So I actually think that's a pretty good bet as well. I don't think Utah is really in a position where they're trying to, put up all these numbers. They're trying to get a lead and then just keep the lead and suffocate you. They're
trying to go back to what Willingham's done his entire career at Utah. Run the football, play good defense. And that's a recipe for this particular game on the road. He's not trying to get a bunch of points. He wants to control that game. And I think that new offensive scheme and the quarterback that they brought in and what they're trying to do in running the football, this sets up for under 50.5. I don't want to say it's a guarantee, but I feel like it's a pretty good pick.
Absolutely. Okay, my last pick for the week is on Monday night. TCU travels to North Carolina. TCU is a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under is 56.5. So This is Bill Belichick's first game at North Carolina. But I watched North Carolina quite a bit last year, specifically a game against James Madison in which they gave up
a ton
of points.
Yeah.
I think, shoot, this might be a game where TCU covers the 56 by themselves in this game. I don't think that's going to happen. Obviously, that's just joking around, but I don't see how this game is not played.
Well, if they get 40,
yeah.
I mean, if they touch 40, they're over 56.5.
Right.
Because I don't think TCU's defense is going to be that good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think this is going to be more like a 38-31 type game, 38-34 type game, but it is not. It is 100% going the over 56.5. Like, TCU is trying to put up points. And unlike the game we just talked about with Utah, TCU might get up by 14 and they're going to keep trying to score. Like, they're not trying to run the clock out. They're going to keep trying to put points up. And I do think North Carolina is still going to be stronger on offense than they are on defense. And so, I think this game could get a little wacky, but I do think that it's going over 56.5. I feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah. And I'll throw on top of this, like, I still don't trust TCU's rushing game. I know there's been some speculation of bringing the kid from UTSA to be a better running threat out of the backfield. They didn't run the football at all last year, except for Savion Williams. I mean, like, they struggled. And I remember talking about that game, like, if Baylor can just like do a halfway decent job against their offense, you don't even have to worry about the running back room. I don't think it's going to be that bad and that, absent this year, but TCU can't afford to get up 14, like you just said, and then stop throwing the football, because then that's playing to North Carolina's game plan. Like, they're going to want to take TCU. They don't want TCU to throw the ball as much. So TCU is not going to try to melt the clock. I think if TCU gets up, they're going to keep pushing it. And if they start running the ball, that does not play into their hand at all in my mind. Like, I just don't, unless something just completely surprises me and Kendall Briles says, hey, I'm going to run the football and we're going to do it well, then that could change this whole game. I just don't see how that happens from what happened last year on that team to this year. And they were talented last year on offense. They just couldn't run the ball at all.
Right. Yeah. Josh Hoover's about to throw for like 300 or 350 yards in this game and probably 3 or 4 touchdowns. So, I feel pretty good about that one. We will be back next week with our Big 12 picks. Colt and I will be back trying to do this every single week if we can. We'll be keeping score as well on our record.
All right. You're doing it.
Hold ourselves accountable. But thanks everyone for listening this week. This has been the Bearcast on Sikkim365.com.
Join Sikkim 365 Premium on a $1 for 1 month trial to read our experts' notes and insights. Know about high school commits, off-season transfers, coaching staff changes, and so much more before the rest. Also, download the Sikkim 365 app on your iPhone today to get instant notifications of breaking news, read up on the latest inside info, easily interact with other Baylor fans on our forums, and get alerts for anything published by your favorite staff members.